So last week, I thought it'd be a great idea to kind of go around European football and try and look for some of the profiles that Celtic are clearly searching out, and maybe just try and find some profiles of players that we haven't even been linked to yet that we can explore and maybe think about. And over basically the last 12 hours or so, it feels like it's all but confirmed at this stage that Aaron Mooy is the new midfielder at Celtic that we've been looking to acquire throughout the transfer window. So after all the ups and downs of the transfer window over the last 2 weeks or so with Vinicius Souza, then the Edouard Michu, we're linked to him but we're not linked to him or whatever, I thought last week it'd be a great idea to kind of go around the transfer market and see the types of profiles of midfielders that Celtic are clearly trying to identify and try and get one step ahead of the game and try and figure out who we might be going for next, because a lot of the profiles that we've been linked to in this full transfer window, in particular in the midfield position, is highly rated, up and coming, potentially elite players. But over the last 12 hours, 10 hours or something, it's all but confirmed that Aaron Mooy, the former Premier League, Championship and Chinese Super League player, current Australian international, is set to sign as a free agent. So we don't need to go round the corners of European football and think about the possibility of Yangel Herrera and maybe how we could maybe get him. Or Bazoer, who's been linked to Marseille and a few other clubs, is highly rated, and at 25, I think he's also a free agent at the moment. So I'm quite surprised this isn't one that we've explored in a bit more detail. A lot of the scout pages on Celtic Twitter love this guy as well. Michael Sadalik is a guy that I unearthed. I think we've maybe had some links to him and stuff like that, but he certainly seems to fit the profile. 20, but in European football wasn't going to make it too likely. Of course, Fausto Vera as well, heavily linked to us by all the scout pages and whatever, but it sounds and looks like he is going to move to Corinthians in Brazil. Edouard Michu, it was advanced talks, then the manager quashed it, and then over the weekend as well, there was no, Celtic are still trying to sign this kid before the Mooy stuff came through. So I don't really know what to think about that, to be quite honest with you. But Aaron Mooy seems to be the guy, and this guy, over the last 2 or 3 years or something, he's, the level of football, the league he's been playing in and whatever, is definitely not elite. And at 31 years of age, he's definitely, you would imagine, peaked at the elite level. Can he still play in Scotland and be efficient and get scores like this where he's contributing goals and assists and all that kind of thing to a match? Yeah, 100%. As you can see here as well, he only moved into China in September 2020, so at point of recording, this is July 2022. So just under the 2-year mark. He's not as if he's been in China like somebody like Oscar or whatever, where he's been over there for 5 or 6 years. He's not too far removed from the Premier League. There was hot interest from this guy in the Championship. So I think we're getting an absolute quality player for the Scottish, for the SPFL, and can be useful in Europe because he has played at the elite level. He's played in the Premier League for a couple of years, and like I said, he's just not that far removed from it at this point in his career. If we revisit this depth chart that I've went through throughout the transfer window, I've now managed to fashion a Bernabei card of sorts, so have a giggle at that. But Bernabei, Juranovic, O'Reilly and Giacomakis, unfortunately, I had to do my best with, so again, apologies for that. But like we've looked at across the full transfer window, the obvious gap in the team is a credible third centre-back, fourth centre-back, depending on how you want to think of it, to cover for the Starfelt injury that we do have. It is expected to start against Aberdeen by all accounts, but he hasn't featured in pre-season as of yet, and we are quite obviously lacking in there should the worst happen, suspension and injury or whatever. And with the midfield, I started off pre-season thinking we could really get any number of profiles for midfield. We're quite well balanced. If this is the way Ange envisages James McCarthy and Ideguchi's role in the team, we have a balance across the 3 base positions. We certainly need one more midfielder, I would say, and the consensus from myself and from everyone who I talked to has been that, yeah, the clear and obvious one would be a better upgrade on McCarthy to fill in as backup to McGregor, and then McGregor is, very versatile, can really play anywhere on the pitch, and that gives him a bit of movement. If any key player is out, like a Turnbull and an O'Reilly, a Rio, McGregor can go in there, keep the level equally as high, and then if James McCarthy isn't up to scratch, we would need somebody better than him to facilitate that happening. But with Aaron Mooy coming in, I've also tried to fashion an Aaron Mooy card as well, so on the model of Ideguchi. I just think, anyway, Mooy is just as versatile in a lot of senses as McGregor and maybe even Ideguchi as well. So there's no clear and obvious spot in the squad where he goes in to fill in that upgraded McCarthy position, if you like, or even as a clear designated backup to this player or in that position or in that role. Because he is as versatile as potentially 2 other players here, definitely McGregor, maybe Ideguchi, that's yet to be seen, then we kind of have those 3 guys able to cover all three positions on midfield, really. Like, we could have a midfield of McGregor, Ideguchi and Aaron Mooy, and really, you know, on paper, they could all fit into all three of the positions, whereas O'Reilly and Turnbull in particular are really limited to where they can play. You would argue the same quite confidently about James McCarthy, and Rio Hatate definitely seems versatile, but we've not seen too much of it at Celtic. We've seen it more in Japan, of course. So I don't think, you know, the worry with the Michu transfer is that might have unbalanced the squad, because he would firmly go into that spot, in my opinion anyway, in the attacking, the more kind of, you know, when I was talking to Genesis and getting the lowdown on Michu, the sort of player he was likening him to Tony Kroos, it also came out that Seville are highly interested in Michu as well, and I could only envisage him being in the Rakitic role for them. So to add a player like that into our midfield depth would definitely tip the balances and be quite top heavy and quite attack orientated, which is fine, but it did seem unusual that the manager has built such a depth laden squad and quite evenly balanced that the Michu one would maybe throw that out, potentially, depending on, again, what Ideguchi actually offers in a defensive capacity, which we don't really have any real idea of. Aaron Mooy can play defensive midfield, of course. He's done it in the Prem, he's done it for his national team, Australia, and has done it in China and everywhere he's played. He's very versatile, so he can even cover in there, be that upgrade. He can be that upgrade to McCarthy, but I think at 31, what we get from guys, and like if you think about Ideguchi, McCarthy, McGregor and Mooy, we get real security with those four guys, because over the next 2 or 3 years we're really in the driving seat if we want to have them or not. McGregor, of course, is a club legend at this point, and that's a slightly different take, but with Mooy, McCarthy and Ideguchi, if we want to give them in our contract, they will bite our hand off and they will have it. Whereas Turnbull, Rio and O'Reilly, we definitely feel that they have a ceiling, and you know, they might not be at Celtic in 2 years from now. So having a guy like Mooy at 31 who can maybe play for us until he's like 33, 34, I know he's only signed on an initial 1 year contract, but that gives us real stability in the midfield, that when we do bring in the next generation of guy to replace the Turnbull or whoever in like 2 or 3 years, if these guys excel like we expect them to and get the transfer, then it allows us to keep that continuity as we kind of evolve and move transfers on. So I can get it. I understand it. With it being a free transfer, there's very little downside to be had here. It does sadden me, because I do think that will be us finished with midfield now. The next signing has to be a centre-back of some description. It maybe brings Rashidly Bazoer back into this picture, because he can play centre-back quite confidently as well. These are all his scores for Vitesse playing centre-back in the Eredivisie, and you know, Vitesse are a good team, and this is when he's getting on the ball a lot and he's moving the ball left to right, he's dictating play as a centre-back, even though he is like a defensive midfielder type, but he's played so much in defence that he has adapted. You know, he's a very confident player there. I think if we got a guy like this, again, I don't know what foot he uses, he seems to be more right than left, so I don't know if that's a nailed-on perfect candidate. I think we are edging towards a lefty, which is why I thought somebody like Mikael Sadalik might be a great shout for that defensive midfield, because this guy also is defence versatile, and geographically playing as a left centre-back, these are the types of scores that he can offer as well. So, but again, that's just pie in the sky from me on this. But I thought more of a left-sider is probably what we're going to go for. Let me know your thoughts on the Aaron Mooy transfer, as well as who will be the next signing. It's got to be a centre-back, hasn't it? Who do you think it could be? Don't forget to like, subscribe and share and retweet and all that good stuff, guys. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye. Let's get into all the giveaway stuff before I let you go. I'm still doing monthly giveaways, and I'm making it easier to enter. If you want to be entered to win this month's prize or any future giveaways here at the channel, all the same rules will always apply. Hit the subscribe button, you need to be a subscriber to enter, then leave a comment down below. Each month, a random comment from a random video will be selected as the winner, so the more videos you leave a comment on, the better the chance you've got of winning any of my giveaways. All the winners are announced at the end of videos the same way as we're doing here. The best way to keep up with the content has always been to hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on. As always, guys, if you've enjoyed the video today, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. On screen now is some other stuff that I've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.